Well, hello, guys. We're back. And we're back, I gotta tell you, with an entirely new back-end infrastructure for our audio that we think you're gonna love. We hope you're gonna love. We'll soon know. I'm going to be taking a look at the comments here, just making sure that everyone's getting us and getting the video and all that stuff. Typical stuff, just a little hello and welcomes and stuff. But how you doing, Matthias?
I'm all good. I'm actually much better than last week.
This is true. Matthias, if you remember, for those of you that tuned in last week, we should do a previously on,
Previously on Matthias and Ryan show.
But anyway, for those of you that remember, Matthias had a cold.
It was horrible.
It was no good.
It was no good.
Yeah. How long is this presentation going to be, Michael J. Payne? Well, if we keep at the pace we're at, about 14 hours.
At least.
But typically, I'd say we're on for about 45 minutes. I think that's what we have about planned. But let there be known, a little teaser. We have a special extra guest tonight. Who some of you can probably guess who it might be.
And some of you might not.
Okay, so
exciting.
Vegas off-track betting. People can start taking odds and see who it might be.
You should not maybe make people do that.
No, maybe not. Okay.
Maybe not.
Okay. I feel like I should throw in some kind of disclaimer about
exactly.
Past performance is not indicative of future. Anyway. Well, guys, okay, so look. Here's the thing. I'm seeing from the comments it looks like things are going well. Or at least things aren't going bad from the comments, which means let's get started because we got a lot to cover.
Yep.
And this is the third and final stream. But it's not the last. Let me just let people know. Here's something that we learned from this process in doing this again. We did this back when we did Music Making Month, and we loved it and we had fun. And the technology got better. And we're going to do more of it. And so this is not really the end of our streaming. Someone on a Reason community called ReasonTalk.com, someone said, "Oh, I like this talking together thing," and we do too. So we're going to do more of that. So
yep.
So this is the third and final stream about Reason 9 in the lead up, but it's not the last of the Propellerhead streaming. We'll be seeing you guys again.
You'll see of us.
That's right.
You'll see us way more.
So, anyway, but here, let's get to really the topic of the evening.
Yeah.
Because this is a feature of a banner feature of Reason 9, as much as pitch edit, as much as players. It is the sort of the third triumvirate.
The third big one.
The third big one, yeah. And I think, actually, if I can say, there's a tendency to almost take sounds for granted.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't get that.
People go like, yeah, no, of course there's some new sounds. It's like, yeah, but no, but there's 1,000 new sounds. There's over 1,000.
Over a literal 1,000 new sounds.
Right. And people go, yeah, but it sounds, And I think, and let me step up and say I'm probably among the people that's guilty of doing that sometimes. And what I remind myself of when I actually go through and start looking at these sounds is that sounds are actually huge. I will use the new sounds more than the players I will use sometimes and a lot. Pitch edit I always use sometimes a lot and very effectively. The new sounds is a really interesting launching point for my making music. And so it becomes a really neat, whole new place. We do all these things when we're making music to try and derive creativity and inspiration and get ideas started. And what better way than with
new sounds.
It's
all about the new sounds.
Exactly. So, Matthias, as Reason product manager, maybe you can kind of tell us about how that came about that we were going to be really, upping our new sound content.
Sure. So I mentioned this at the first stream, but as a refresher, we really wanted Reason 9 to focus on kind of the journey from start to finish, if you will, where pitch edit is kind of at the end of the spectrum, making something sound perfect for the final mixing. And players are kind of, early or middle of the spectrum where you go, okay, I need to come up with something. Soundbank, it fits in kind of all over. Like you said, you can start with a sound and just get inspired. That's what I do all the time. I always try presets to get something going, Then maybe I'll tweak it or take it out even, but it gets me going, Other people that I've talked to, they do, okay, I have everything down now. Now I just need to find the perfect bass sound. And that's where the presets come in. So it's kind of, we wanted something that could fit in both ends, finishing your tracks and making them sound perfect, making them sound as good as possible, or just getting inspiration to get started. Now,
what I have to say, I think, and as being a Reason user before I was a Propellerhead officially, before I was on the team and got a jersey and all that, I think there's a decidedly different approach to these sounds than historically. I think what Reason has done. I think Reason is always being a modular system. Reason has always sort of encouraged we'll get you started and build from here. And this is taking a little bit different approach. It feels to me, at least in my exploration, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it feels like a lot of these sounds are more like, here's a way it can be done. Here's a lot of devices. We're going to put a lot of devices in a combinator. We're going to do advanced wiring for you. We're going to do some like very primo sound design and very primo sort of techniques, techniques that there's tutorials out on the internet to learn how to do, that people go to school to learn how to do. We're going to put all this into a combinator, and you have that out the door. And not only do you have it out the door, but you have it then as a learning tool that you can explore it and see how does that work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of the goal with these sounds is that you should drag one into the rack and play it, and that's going to be awesome. Just that. You don't need to do anything else, And part of it is also, since it's combinators, it's a bit of a learning experience. You can open these up and you'll find some funky wiring, some cool layering you didn't think of, and all kinds of stuff that could actually help you kind of up your sound design game if that's what you're into.
Right. Which is cool. And I've done that, it's a common thing. You sort of take a patch apart. I think when I do that, I tend to assign myself credit. I made this awesome sound. It's like, no. I unplugged 3 things from someone else's awesome sound. But you know what? The end result is if it sounds good in my music, that's really what counts,
Absolutely.
Well, listen, I think the key is we really want to hear these sounds, right?
Of course.
Okay. Well, then that's really what we're going to be doing. Today, we are going to be listening to a lot of different sounds. Now, the chat has been asking for cowbell. They're really excited about cowbell. Guys, I got to tell you, I don't know if we have 1,000 new cowbell sounds. That's a spoiler alert. If you were waiting for a live stream where we sampled 1,000 new cowbell sounds,
just getting 1,000 different cowbells, that's tricky business.
That's true. Someone out there is working on, I'm sure, collecting them.
The cowbell collector.
The cowbell collector, like the bone collector or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Well...
They're really kind of, not very cool mass murderer. The cowbell collector.
Right. But that being said, we do have things that I personally, agree to disagree, I personally think are cooler than cowbell. So why don't we check them out? Because there's really a lot to go through and a lot of variety. So
yeah,
take it away, Matthias. I'm gonna react and you're gonna wow. That's our plan.
Good plan.
Yeah, right?
Okay, so I've almost cheated because 1,000 patches, that's a whole lot of patches. It takes so long to go through them all. I've tried, and I've made it to the end.
One might say no one would try to show 1,000 patches.
That's insane. It's insane. So I've made a selection. I've kind of taken some of my personal favorites, some that sound unique in a way, or some that kind of, have a sound that people really like or reacted well to when I've played it. So I'm just going to walk through a couple of these and kind of play you a bit.
I think that sounds great.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's get to it. Let's take a look at your screen here.
Yeah, so here's my secret.
Ben Knowles knows what's coming. He knows you. He's got your number because he just said plucks.
Oh, plucks. I'm going to wait with the plucks. I'm going to let you kind of really want the plucks before I start playing the plucks.
All right.
Ready? So I've made this short list of kind of cool sounds. So I'm going to start with a couple basses. Just, get the foundation going and kind of hear what's going on in the lower registers of the Reason 9 sounds folder.
Before we even do, and I'm not to delay the gratification here of this bass.
It's so cool.
We're primed. We're ready for it. But I will just point to people. A new thing with these sounds is that they're categorized, and the category actually plays into the combinator skin. So from looking at this, the category that falls into, what it is from the upper right corner.
Exactly. You can tell. Bass. Right here. Bass.
So that you guys will see that as we go through, if you're curious, if you want some kind of indication of sort of how the categories break down, because right now we're going to be looking at just a folder of a mix mash of stuff. But the categories, as you see them going by, will be in that little corner.
Yeah.
Anyway, Matthias, bass us up.
I will. Let's get started with something kind of, one would say basic, but that would be unfair.
Oh.
So I've got a really kind of fat analog kind of saturated bass here that I really loved called Analog Monster. So I'm just going to play you a couple bass lines.
Gareth Thomas is asking Reese basses. Yes, there's Reese basses.
Oh, there's plenty.
Plenty of Reese basses. Yes, Gareth.
I really like this sound.
So there's things that are going on in these, and I hesitate to say that over Facebook, some of this is going to be lost on some people, but there's a lot of key sound design going into making these sounds big, right? Wide.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Even stuff like the next patch. So I'm just actually going to move over to that. Stuff like something simple, like a, subtractive synth bass. This one's called the Funky Moog or Moog, depending on your convictions.
Moog if you're wrong, Moog if you're right.
Exactly.
Yes.
I just said convictions. You don't have to.
That's true.
This one, even a patch like that's kind of based around a super simple thing like a filter and an oscillator, can sound really kind of big.
So you're doing that with the modulation control.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just opening and closing the filter. I really like it down here.
It's good. I like it. It really is just a very classic sort of sound.
Yeah. And just to kind of, speaking of the kind of big sounds, we'll get into some really wide, kind of exciting, huge sounds. But we're talking basses now, Basses it's all about having the low end in check, about kind of keeping the track, solid in a way. So a lot of these bass sounds are really going to be the foundation. And then we'll get into the weird stuff down the line.
Cool. Okay.
So I'm going to move on and try maybe a sequence bass. A bunch of the patches in new Soundbank use maybe the Thor sequencer or the new players combinator, which means that you can quite easily get these pattern things that you can then change and kind of check out. So here's an example called Mass Effect, and people who know the reference will definitely know the reference.
I really love that because there's a lot going on in that sound. There's a lot of layers to that.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing when you're making music and stuff, you might, I've had it happen where I might happen upon one element of that sound, and you have this thing happen where you go like, I don't know if you have this making music, Matthias, but you'll hear one part of a sound and you can imagine, I want it to be this thing, and you can think of all the layers, but you may not know how to get them. May not know how to do that really high. There's that really kind of clicky high part.
The kind of plucky thing?
Yeah.
Actually, with this combinator, I can easily kind of remove the bass line with the front panel controls. If you just want to hear the top part, then maybe you can just click out the bass line and just get this kind of plucky thing.
Plucks.
Plucks already. Or the other way around, if I just want the bass line. Now you're not getting a melody. So you're not stuck in harmonies,
That's basically two patches in one.
Two for the price of one.
Two for the price of one.
Can't complain.
Right.
So that I really like that patch. Not at least because I'm a big fan of the Mass Effect series of video games, which this is kind of inspired from. Very sci-fi. Speaking of more basses, there's a bunch of sub-genres of electronic music that I personally don't, I don't even know they exist. There's underground movements, all kinds of bass music that's just happening, And these sound designers that we've talked to and that have helped us make these patches, they're experts.
Yeah.
They're real experts in their domain. So a bunch of these patches are going to really be from things you maybe haven't heard or something that you're super into and nobody else has heard of. And if so, kudos to you.
Right. Let me just take a quick question because we had a couple of questions come in here. First of all, very importantly, people are asking, is your tattoo, is that a new tattoo material?
It is very new. Yes, okay. That's why it's kind of shiny and
right. It's not a fake tattoo that you just put on for the stream.
That would be awesome, right?
That would be awesome.
We're gonna do a live stream. I'm gonna have these rub-on tattoos.
No, that is a new tattoo. But we have some other questions. I just want to kind of take some of these. David Valdez wants to know how the categories affect older patches and refills.
Okay, so the new kind of, maybe we want to call it, the sounds folder. It's called Recent 9 Sounds. And in Recent 9 Sounds, you have all these, 1,000 plus new sounds combined with the best from the factory sound bank. The factory sound bank is still there. You can still access it. But we've kind of cherry-picked our favorites. Remember, Reason is quite an old program. And we've almost never removed anything. So
right.
There's a bunch of, patches from 2002 that were, amazing stuff then. And maybe today they don't quite hold up for all genres of music or
sure. But for the sake of compatibility and for the sake of some people, that's their go-to stuff,
Of course. So they're still there. But the new sound bank is kind of using these categories for the new sounds, which have these combinator skins. And the old but really good sounds are moved into these categories too.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right. You know what? I'm seeing another mention of the tattoo. People want to see it. Can we see? Can we just take a look?
Okay.
Oh wait, there you go.
Where's my?
There you go. Okay, perfect. There it is. What is that thing? Well, just briefly, what is that?
This thing is Skull Kid from Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
There you go.
My favorite game of all time.
Matthias just earned 5 gold stars in nerd cred there.
Yep, my geek level is through the roof.
Yeah, achievement unlocked. Okay, cool. Let's take a listen to some more sound. Let's keep going here.
Yep. So if I'm going back to basses, here's kind of a more contemporary EDM style bass that I really like. It's called Future Tom Bass. It's kind of one of those, you build up this entire track and then you come to the breakdown and it's like this and drums.
Yeah.
That's the kind of sound it is.
And it's got that real metallic thing. It's these are there's some interesting sound design choices that go into this because these are designed to get out of the way of drums, right? So you've got a 4 on the floor kick or something that's going or whatever. That takes up a certain amount of frequency space and that this sound is designed to complement that.
Yeah. And I can kind of the other end of the spectrum, let me go to one of my personal favorite, most used bass patches, which might be the most, kind of low-key bass patch. One of my big problems with making music is all the bass patches I do are so big. They take up all the frequencies. And here someone did a really soft kind of low-end bass that's perfect for kind of electro, minimal techno and stuff. So I'm just going to play a couple quick notes. And this is bass heavy, so I hope you're hearing this through your headphones.
I hope people are in headphones. We should say that. As much as Facebook is probably remastering our audio for us in a lovely downgraded way, you still should have headphones on at least because there's some low ends in this.
So... This is kind of almost, an 808 style kick kind of bass. It's really, low end and rumbly, and it's super nice to just lay with the kick and kind of put some sidechain on it.
I really love it. And it's one of those things too. And this is one of those sounds for me where you go like, okay, it's great. I like it out of the box. I like it. But you also, you can add one element to it and sort of elevate it to another level. If you throw a pulverizer into the chain after that and you distort that.
Yeah.
Oh, man, stuff happens. That's exactly right. So, I sort of, a lot of these sounds, I find myself loving them for what they are, and then also loving them for the way that you can just totally make a whole new sound through a relatively small effort.
So let's move on. We have a lot of sounds.
We do. Okay.
So another bass line, this one by... a really, really good sound designer. Then. Big fan of. We're going to mention these sound designers a little later, so you'll kind of get a feel for them, but let's try this out.
Now, can I ask you what were... in terms of what's making that sound, there's a little. Is that our dual arpeggio in there? Is it RPG8? Is it?
Let's open up and check it out.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, so it's a dual arpeggio. Even wrote dual in it. It's 2 dual arpeggios on 2 Thors doing 2 different kind of sounds.
Right.
So one part of the sequence was more, analog synth style, and one was more kind of FM style.
Right.
Yeah.
It's worth making this point though for people that are seeing the new devices in the new sounds. This is the thing that these are new sounds, but they are new sounds using new devices, the players, and they're also using. If we saw in that one, you might have seen a little cameo appearance by Pulsar, which was once a rack extension available for purchase in the shop. It now lives permanently in Reason.
Inside the rack.
Inside the rack. And what that means, both in the Reason 9 sounds, but also in the future of refills and other patch designs that people do, this is now a new tool that every Reason user can be counted on to have, right? Yeah, so if a sound designer, a lot of times you'll see third-party rack extension, Parsec or Antidote refills, right? Obviously, those require Parsec or Antidote. Sure. So this sort of becomes a nice common ground. We all know everybody now has Pulsar, and am I correct that Audiomatic as well?
Yeah, Audiomatic and the soft tube amps.
Right,
all
right.
in there.
That's all now just in their standard.
Yep. So speaking of reeses, I heard a question.
Reeses.
I've got a Yaya reese waiting to happen. Why is it called a Yaya reese?
Why is it called a Yaya reese?
Well, it goes Yaya.
Now, let's... I feel it's worth a teachable moment here for people that are working with these sounds, and maybe they're new to these sounds, but they've wanted to work with these sounds, right? That's one of those classic accent sounds, right? So, and comment if I'm wrong about this. I think typically you wouldn't write a bass line that's ya, right? A whole bunch of yas.
You could. You would be breaking new ground.
You would be. You'd be launching a new ya genre. But this is one of those great ones where you've got another line going with another aggressive bass, and then you throw in that ya, and it sort of is one of those things that makes the listener go, whoa, hang on,
Yeah, it's really when you do kind of complextro style genres or any, bass music, dubstep or kind of stuff like that. Neurofunk.
Yeah.
I knew that name.
Yeah.
That's a typical kind of sound you want to scatter out in the sequence. Another one of those is this other one called All the Bass Scream. So typical sound like that. It's sounding really big and aggressive. Maybe you wouldn't do the whole bass line with it, but it's one of those things where you put it in the kind of drop section. And it's huge.
It's huge and it's aggressive. I mean, it really.
Yeah. It's got
bite.
This particular sound designer shortened LCV, so you can see in all the names they have kind of a 2 or 3 letter acronym.
Yeah.
Which is the sound designer that made this. And this guy, La Castlevania, he's the king of really kind of harsh, dirty, but usable, sounds, aggressive stuff. You'll find a lot of this in the sound bank.
Now, the name flew by, so apologies if I'm remembering this wrong. I think Andrew Rothman was asking just a key distinction here about Pulsar. He said, well, that came with Reason 7, didn't it? And
5, actually.
What's that? Since 6.5, but there's a key distinction here, and it's worth people understanding this. Andrew, Pulsar was introduced with 6.5 as a limited time free download. So if you bought 6.5, you upgraded to 6.5, I think it was 3 months or something after it came out, you could go to the shop, you could get Pulsar. So a lot of people have it, but not everybody has it. And some people missed that window. Some people upgraded during 7 or 8 and didn't get to partake in that free download. This is in Reason. This is in the app. When you install the app, it's just there. Everybody has it. It's not a shop download. And it is a distinction with a difference.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I hope that clears that up. And that's true of Audiomatic. That's also, etc.
So we've kind of lingered on basses for a while. Are you ready to move on?
Let's move on.
Okay. I'm going to head over to a couple of leads and start with one that's really kind of... Well, I'll let you listen before I describe it.
I gotta say, so this stuff's my jam.
Really?
This stuff is my jam. I like this stuff.
This and banjo.
This and banjo. That's right. And I'm going to combine them, and the world is going to be forever changed by some kind of aggressive EDM banjo crossover. Oh, man. Just you wait. No, but I really do love sounds like this because there's so much going on, and it's so, when you're working on it in a mix, man, does that cut through. And sometimes you want a sound, you've got a really dense mix, and you want a sound that's just going to, that's the one.
There.
Oh, yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah, really good, really good. Yeah. And Corey Lane, Corey Lene It went by again. Oh, the comments are going fast. Loves the reverb on that, and I agree. I agree, Corlin.
It's great. And if you don't love it, you can turn it off. So this is kind of the advantage of having these combinators, you know? You can reroute and turn off and turn on. So let's try another lead that's kind of at the other end of the spectrum. That's a bit softer.
Okay.
It's still, since I'm kind of partial to reverb on leads, it's reverb drenched and heavenly. So let's take a listen. Sounds kind of, whale call style.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
One. And I was playing with the mod wheel here that kind of opens and closes the filter, which is really nice effect.
Right. More.
Okay, so and this is so for one of my kind of all-time favorite bands from a sound design perspective is Infected Mushroom, because they know their way around synths. And this patch has that psytrance sound, and it's sequenced in Thor, so you can just move the sequence around. It's really cool sounding still, I think.
On the last sound, I just want to point out, someone made a great comment. It's very Blade Runner-ish.
Oh, yeah.
They're on a little bit of delay.
That's
so
what it is.
Yeah, very Blade Runner, right. I want to be Harrison Ford in the rain.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't want to be Harrison Ford in the rain? So that's kind of an example of another sequence patch. And I was really curious about what was in this one. It was a Thor.
Huh.
It was a Thor, a phaser, chorus, compressor, and reverb. That's some impressive patch design right there.
Right.
He just squeezed that sound out like nobody's business.
Right.
That's really cool, I think. So let's move on to a lead that's a bit more polyphonic. And this is kind of in the category of synthesizers sounding like synthesizers, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Kind of a classic sound. I'm just gonna. Yeah,
Corey Linnae Carruthers has another question, and we'll just other people may be wondering. The price of upgrading from Reason 7 is worth mentioning that it's the same prices from 8 as from 4 as from 3, 2, 2.5.
And if you're on 7, I mean, you should just go get Reason 8 today, because if you upgrade to Reason 8 today from Reason 7, you get Reason 9 just when it's released. You just get it added to your account, and the download's already on release day. You don't have to wait, with learning the new interface in Reason 8 and stuff like that. You can get familiar and then jump into 9 on the 21st of June when it's released.
Absolutely. Plus, you get to play around with the RV7000 Mark II, which gives you convolution reverb, Corey Linnae.
That's stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to play a couple of chords with this patch called Funkadelic, and you'll hear why. I love this one. Really kind of classic synth sound.
Yeah.
That's
really good.
Something that isn't a classic synth sound. We want to keep this, I want to keep going back and forth so you can get some different views. This one's actually made by Leo, who works at Allihopa. He's the product manager of Figure and Take. He also happens to be a great sound designer, and he did a couple of patches for us.
Reason users know Leo's patchwork.
Yeah. Oh, he's been in, all kinds of, from the factory soundbank for a long time, actually. And in RSEC, and then even did some patches for the RV7 Mark II, and so on.
What I like, if I can compliment Leo for a second, is Leo's a very talented musician. He's got a band, and they're a very talented band. I'm a fan of the band. And very often, there's a bi-directional thing that some of the stuff that they're making for their music, their own music, that ends up as patch content, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And vice versa. Some patch content he makes ends up on their music.
So they're kind of tried
right, road tested.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this one is called Future Bass Vox, and it's kind of a lead sound which using a sampled voice that I think kind of has a really nice sound. And here the legato and non-legato makes a huge difference when playing. So let's check it out. I really like it.
Really nice.
Yeah. So,
What else we got?
I'm just gonna do 2 more leads, I promise. I really like lead sounds. Not as much as plucks, and we'll get to plucks, but here's one that I kind of picked because it's, again, a bit video game inspired. And it kind of has this classic, chiptune sound, but they really expanded it with modern effects and stuff, so. It's really nice, actually.
Yeah, it's it's seldom. Portamentos are like cayenne pepper, right? You put a little in, and it's like whoa, but it works. It works on this patch. Yeah,
it works. So final lead for the showcase. This one is a bit more out there. This is a 5th lead, so it's kind of harmonically more interesting, and it's a bit dark.
Ooh. That's interesting. Cameron Reese commented that he can't wait to open up and see what these combinators are doing. And that's one of them, right? Where it's like you move that mod wheel and something happened there, right? What makes that happen, right?
That's nice.
And you'll know. Open it up.
You'll know.
Check it out.
So you ready to move into plucks?
Okay, we're Pluck Town?
Yeah, we're going to... We have too many towns. Robot Town.
Pluckville?
Pluckville.
Okay.
So here's kind of a non-traditional kind of dirty pluck from the same guy who did that really kind of dirty bass sound before that I think is really quite cool. It's kind of a really nice... It's almost kind of lead pluck fusion kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's the thing that carries a track melody through, the chorus. You get in there and go like, oh, that sound, But in the more traditional world of plucks, let's try another one by Leo. This is more kind of sweet sounding, kind of plucky chord.
Norwegian boy. Leo, not a Norwegian boy.
No, Swedish boy.
He's a Swedish boy, but he's, maybe he identifies Norwegian.
Do you?
I don't know. Really good, like really crystal high end.
Yeah, exactly. I really like that the attack is so clear. It's really nice when you want it to pop out the mix.
Yeah.
If you want the opposite though, you can try the next pluck I selected called the Sign Pluck. This one is made by Spio, who you might know as a YouTube tutorial maker.
Right. Very talented YouTube tutorial maker.
Super talented sound designer. And his sounds are just fantastic. And since he knows Reason like really inside out, he's got some impressive combis to open up and check out.
Right.
So this one is a Sign Pluck, so it's a bit lighter, kind of nicer, softer. Not the same attack.
It's nice. There's an interesting thing. I'll just relay a story. I was talking to Christopher Wallman, who is curating all of this content and has been going through all these patches and working with these sound designers. And he was telling me something interesting about two of the sound designers, Spio and Francis Priebe.
Yeah.
Okay. They have different design philosophies. So Spio packs a ton of stuff into a combinator and makes a massive sound through quantity. How much stuff can I throw in and what can I do with it, right? And Francis makes massive sounds through almost the opposite, right? It's like, how much sound can I make with the fewest devices?
Yeah.
So
how much can I remove?
Yeah, right. And so you look at the two things and they both sound amazing, but from different philosophies. And I think it's kind of neat on that level too.
So we can kind of hear that in action. So I'm going to try Spio arpeggio and then a Francis Priebe kind of sound.
Oh, it's
as
like
if
I knew that was coming. I didn't.
Which he really didn't.
I really didn't. Oh.
So this is kind of an arpeggiated sound, kind of lead pluck-ish. It's really quite, again, Spio has this really kind of nice reverby kind of, almost, they have kind of a pop feeling to them, that I really like.
I really like that.
Yeah, that's really cool. You can hear the kind of modulation going in and out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then on the other side, you have the Francis Preve patch that's kind of also using a player, but it's really scaling it back. And this is kind of a 90s kind of stacked chord thing, and super useful.
Classic.
He's really scaled back on some of the sound design,
right?
On purpose,
right?
To make it that kind of 90s sound,
right?
Which is really cool.
I have to say, it makes me feel old when people talk about the 90s as a nostalgic sound.
Yeah, I know.
But I have to accept it. But fantastic, yeah. I got to say, I'm really enjoying, and this is no small point, I'm really enjoying the reverbs that are on all of these, right? That is something that, there's a lot of times that I'll find a sound I like, and then I'll go, oh, I should put a reverb on it. And that's almost sound design in itself, matching a suitable reverb to a patch.
Yeah.
And all of these have a really, like, the one that I'd go, oh, that's what I want. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. And part of that is because we moved in all the impulse responses into the factory soundback with version 9. So it actually comes with a bunch of fantastic sounding impulse responses and patches for RV7000 Mark II.
Cool.
So let's move on to another patch that uses players and using note echo in a really kind of nice way. Summit chimes. That's really cool. I really like the difference between the release that's kind of long and then when you hold it down with a short decay. So
yeah,
kind of decays, and there it kind of rings out.
Yeah.
Want to try some more stuff?
More stuff.
How could you not?
How could you not?
We're moving into pads now, and here there's some really kind of wide, kind of evolving stuff. So I'm gonna try to hold chords for quite a while here, just so you can hear them kind of progressing.
Okay.
So let's try one out called A Day Out.
A Day Out.
This is maybe not the longest pad, but it's still kind of... It's harmonically really interesting, using that note echo again. But then if you go to something like... There's this one called Dreamy Lullaby. This is more of a traditional pad.
Now, that's great. And this is the kind of stuff where I go like, ooh, oh, no, you throw a side chain on that, or synchronous.
Exactly. And just put it kind of pumping in the background. That
wonderful.
Work wonders.
Yeah.
It's not really, you can use it for kind of ambient tracks, but you can really use it in any track if you kind of, maybe you can gate it and side chain it. One more chord.
Really nice.
Yeah.
And really dense, obviously you hear that tail, right? And this is actually something where I would be inclined to even try one of the other new features in Reason, which is bounce in place, to record a line, bounce into place, and then chop that up and cut those tails artificially
short. You can get these really cool kind of choppy kind of, edited sounds that's happening in music all the time nowadays,
Right.
This kind of complextro feeling is moved into pop.
Exactly. That's the thing, so we... it's like step one is get the line down and the sound down, and then there's a whole nother layer of what's being done now where they're rendering that out to audio, and they are
reversing and chopping up and time stretching and all that cool stuff.
And that's one of those ones where I go, ooh, that would be a fun one to do that with.
So let's move to another one. This one by Kevin Schroeder, a great sound designer. This one is big and wide if you want.
I feel like I'm watching BBC Planet Earth. You remember that documentary?
Oh, do I remember it? I watch it still.
Okay, well, there you go.
That's what it is. Kevin Schroeder did another really great pad sound that I just had to put in because he really does this kind of hybrid analog super wide sounds. These take up so much wonderful space in the mix, in a good way. So let's take one more.
really nice. Can we? I'm curious. That's so dense and complex. Can we look inside and see what's going on there?
Let's check it out. So you got a mixer, you got a pulverizer on the master, kind of shapes the pad. Got an EQ, a reverb, an echo, Pulsar for adding that LFO movement to stuff, and then 2 Maelstroms and 2 Thors.
Not a ton.
Not a ton.
No, and that, that's nice. From a resource standpoint, you're just not taking a gazillion devices to make a gazillion sounding device.
Yeah,
sound,
exactly. And you can, open these up and check it out, and you can see how he made it this huge.
Yeah,
because I was wondering that myself.
Yeah, right. And yet again, I see a Pulsar making a appearance in there, right?
Yeah.
So there's
good for that kind of slow modulation,
right? And I think if people are, people might be new to Pulsar. What a great way to see what it's capable of, right?
Yeah,
because it's a simple device, but with a complex output.
Yeah. So let's round that kind of Kevin Schroeder part off with one sequenced patch that he's done that I really like too, called Science Sequence.
Okay.
You can hear that's kind of already been sidechained, which is nice. So you can really pop it in any kind of electronic 4 on the floor track and get the sound, or you can remove that part and kind of use the core sounds.
I like it.
Quite like that one.
Yeah, really, really a lot.
Yeah. And here's another in-house. Yeah.
Oh, I'm just seeing a comment here. Someone used, they said, I used cowbell on a track. It was quite good. So the cowbell discussion is still going strong.
I'm impressed by you guys. Here's another one from kind of the Propellerhead sound design team, which is small, and we did a couple of patches. This is from Ludde, who's the head designer of Reason.
Yeah.
This one's really, it was made to showcase, the kind of penultimate scales and chords, big arena kind of house as it is today kind of sound. So it's really the one finger epics patch. That's literally what it's called.
Okay.
So let's check it out.
Oh,
Huge.
I mean, I'm a sucker for.
Yeah, you love the big stage.
I like that stuff. I do, and and these are really good versions of them. So
yeah, I get that. So we're moving into another category, keys and chords, and that was a typical chord thing. So we want to check out some more key stuff. That's kind of a different style than some of these more synthetic patches. Really nice, kind of smooth, almost electric piano-y sound.
I'm ready to take a nap.
Yep.
You've lullabied me.
I'm going to play something a bit more upbeat, okay? To bring.
Hey, good. Please do. Yeah, please do.
This is another kind of showcase of the players, and this is dual arpeggio playing clavichord.
Can we pop open the combinator and take a look at it?
Let's go.
When you say players, I get excited.
So here we've kind of split up our chords into bass and kind of the main thing. So I'm just going to play a couple chords and it's going to play some clavs. That's a really fun patch, kind of.
Sean Med said of that last lullaby one, that's Blade Runner piano. So
there's a lot of Blade Runner. I know I'm partial to Blade Runner. But you're gonna find a thing.
That's right.
Yeah. Let's try another patch here. It's called Dusty Piano, and again we're working with players to create some chords here. Typical kind of sample vibe.
Derek says that he is. We have excited him. Oh. We have upgraded his excitement, I could say, to the upgrade.
Excellent.
Which is fantastic.
So this one kind of, really for the hip-hop producers out there, this is one of my kind of sounds. When I heard this, I just, slapped on an old break, slowed it down a bit, and just played these chords.
So that's happening via probably Node Echo, right? Because that's one of those...
Exactly, it's one of those parallel.
Yeah, I don't know what the name is for that, but parallel, I guess we can call it parallel transposition chords. Yeah.
It's really kind of nice. It's kind of noisy, you know, with a bit of warble and stuff. That I quite like that. Speaking of warble, here's a patch called Old Tape Warble Keys that has just that. Some really nice kind of, you know, shifty, pitchy thing. So it sounds a bit old, a bit dated, but still new in a way, you know?
Chris Brewer has asked that you rap something in Swedish.
Please never ask me that again. I might do it. And if I do it, you'll regret it.
All right, let's go. I love the way it just drifts off.
Yeah, it just
I love that.
Not want to stay in place.
It does not, right. This is like we get to the benefits of, you know, old analog synths where the oscillators couldn't stay in tune and it drove people nuts. And now we can bask in that and be like, oh, they won't stay in tune.
I love that. That's kind of it's a, you know, the old term IDM that I don't even know if people use anymore. Intelligent dance music. I love those kind of sounds for that. It could be in the top, you know, kind of doing cool electronic melodies on top of weird drums.
Right. Oh, Nerd Tears. Oh, Corey Linnae, it goes by so fast, I miss her final name. Crying Nerd Tears with a hashtag. So now everyone can jump on this trending topic.
Jump on the hashtag.
Let's make Nerd Tears trend worldwide.
Love it. So let's move on to kind of a tribute patch. You'll have to guess who it's a tribute to. It's called The Rat's Dead.
The Rat is Dead. Again, a lot going on frequency-wise with that. You know, I mean, people have watched my tutorial about high-pass and low-pass filters know I'm a little bit of a frequency, you know, stickler, right?
Yeah.
And so I really tap into when I see sound design where they've thought that through for me. They've gone, okay, we're going to have this element. It's going to be in this band. We're going to have this element doing this band. I love that. You know, so it's a collaborative thing. They're helping me make my music, and I appreciate it.
Oh, I love that too, right? They've figured it out.
Yeah.
Let's do a couple more with the dual arpeggio, but just because I really kind of like it. So here's a chord arp called the Percy chord arp by Spio.
I have to say, this is one I used, actually. You'll even see it in the Reason 9 announcement video.
Yeah.
When I made the music for that video, I found the Percy player preset, and I thought, ooh, that's cool. Yeah. And then I made a little modification, and I actually renamed it Percy and Ryan, because I thought, we kind of work together on it now. So that's what's in the video. You'll see Percy and Ryan.
And this next patch, I'm going to be quick with this one, because Ryan didn't want me to show it.
Oh, what could it be?
It's one of my favorites just because it's so out there, you know. It's not the traditional synth sound or something. It's it's and the 19 synth players. I love that. I love that so much.
You really do. Now I can respect people who love it, but
it's brilliant.
But we will part ways there.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's interesting. Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah. Another thing that we added for the sound bank is the category called effects, and effects is filled with kind of useful stuff.
Okay,
categorize it. It's from sound effects. It kind of impacts and uplifters and downers and risers and sweepers and all those words, you know.
Yeah.
Anything from noise sweeps to really cool kind of huge soundtrack booms.
Which, if I may say, the FX is like becoming a category not to be overlooked, right? Like no one would say, oh, don't forget to put basses in your song, right? Yeah. Oh, don't forget to put drums in your song, right? Yeah. And effects is becoming a thing that is absolutely critical to making. So a friend of ours, of Propellerhead, has a term for this. They call it Star Wars mixing. Yeah. And it's like you're doing your song, you're doing your production, and you need to have little lasers firing off and little things happening all the time, right? And effects is how you do that. So here's a great one called Breaking Impact that really has a huge kind of pow.
So just one key here. That's awesome. Of course you want to start your chorus with that. I love that one.
Right. Well, now there's a question that's come up a couple times in the comments. So I ask you, Matthias, I don't know the answer to this. But maybe you can enlighten us. A few people here are asking about sort of organic and orchestral sounds in there.
Yeah, there are a bunch of patches. So orchestral, maybe not so much. We've really focused here on the kind of synth part of things. There are some that incorporate a bunch of samples and that sound kind of, there are some piano-ish sounds. There's some things that sound kind of guitar-ish. But we haven't really gone out and, multi-sampled an electric guitar for this one. We did move in a couple of things into the sound bank that does fill kind of that void. So new in the Reason 9 sound bank is the entire electromechanical refill. So all of the Rhodes and Wurlitzers, Hammond organs and stuff, just put in there. Also,
so they're now part of the install.
Part of the sound bank. And also the recent drum kits vintage mono version. So you get some really kind of nice vintagey drum kits that, super usable. And when we're getting to drums, you'll see we'll move in some other stuff too that I think is really nice. But to be perfectly honest, the focus of the new sound bank was kind of synthetic sounds and big kind of, from atmospheric, semi-organic to kind of just analog goodness.
Right. It is worth pointing out, and Adam Fielding jumped in the comments and mentioned this, that if people are interested in orchestral sounds, this week, was it this week or was it last week?
Yeah, this week.
A new rack extension.
Might have been last week.
Might have been last week. New rack extension landed at the shop called Stringwerk.
Oof.
Which, mind-blowing.
It blew me away.
It actually literally
fell off my chair.
Maybe that's not true. But it was really good.
Oh, it's amazing.
Really good.
Yeah. So definitely check that out if you want some strings. I'm going to do one more of these effect sounds. This one is the one I've been using the most when doing kind of electronic music and mixing stuff. The Ultra Uplifter.
Ultra.
And this is kind of where you move from one section to the next. And you'll hear what I mean.
What I really like about that, too, is a lot of times when you have these uplifter sounds, when I do this, I have to find an uplifter, then I have to find a downlifter, and you put them together so you get that build and release.
Yeah. Exactly.
And this has it built into it that you just let go the key and it does your release.
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
We're going to maybe... we've been on for a while.
We have been 53 minutes to be precise.
I'm gonna finish off this with a couple of drum patches.
Okay,
and then I guess you'll have to explore the rest in the program because what have I shown? Maybe 30-40 patches. There's 1,000. There's so much. So let's check out some drum sounds. So speaking of the things that we moved into the sound bank, here's just a patch from the RDK Vintage Mono refill that's now included in the sound bank. And I think this is one of, this has quickly become my go-to for doing breaks. I really love that one.
It's nice. It got that vintage thing, you know?
Exactly. And another thing that we actually moved into the sound bank, and this wasn't even by us to begin with, is the 808 refill by Pef, where Pef has sampled and synthesized all 808 sounds you can think of, and they just sound gorgeous. We really needed that. 808 is such a big part of modern music,
Yeah, a big part of modern music based on a device from 1982 or something. It just won't quit.
It will not.
Yeah.
So here's a quick example of kind of how those patches sound.
Now, if people watched my trap tutorial that I made a beat cheat sheet about trap, and we actually used Pef's 808 refill.
Yeah.
In that tutorial, I sort of said, okay, everyone, go over and download the refill from pef.com. And please go to pef.com. There's a lot of other cool stuff there, but you no longer need to download this refill. It's in Reason.
Love that one.
Yeah.
We also added a couple of Kong kits that, span a bunch of different genres. Here's one called the Dusty Kit that I quite like. I'm just going to go through all the sounds quickly. The typical breaks and kind of hip hop kit again.
It's a tight kick.
Yeah, I really like that one. I really like these kind of heavy hitting, punchy, tight kicks. Someone has really went through these and kind of processed them properly. And going to the kind of the other more electronic way. Yeah.
A comment from Jacob Allman. He says, I believe he thinks he has us best. He says, that's not new then. I think he's referring to the PEF 808. But Jacob, that is why there are over 1,000 new sounds.
Yeah, that's actually, we're not including any of those in the 1,000 new.
No.
1,000 new is all about the patches that we made, not stuff we moved inside.
Right.
Don't you worry.
That's right.
You're over 1,000 brand.
That is right. No fuzzy math going on here.
Here's a kit by Speo that I think is, again, the genre Neurofunk and stuff. This is, this kick and snare sound. I cannot create these myself. I cannot. But now I have them.
A Speo drum kit.
I like it's really kind of tight and crunchy, and
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And the final kind of drum patch I want to show you is one called the Trap Lord. And you guess what kind of music that's made for?
Oh, I wonder what it could be.
Yeah, it's well, you kind of know.
I think the hint is in the name, right?
Yeah, it is.
The thing with trap sounds is that when I did a tutorial, I'm not plugging my own tutorials, but when I did a tutorial about trap sounds, they're surprisingly tricky sounds to make. I actually brought in help from friend of Propellerhead, Justin Williams, who was making, he makes trap sounds. He's got his own custom kits and stuff. And I said, hey, listen, I'm actually finding this a little tricky. So he came in and kind of helped me make these sounds. So I welcome some trap specific sounds that are in the sound bank now. Let's check it out. Oh, I love those hats. Mr. Freezy says trap sounds are layered. They sure are.
They sure are.
That's part of what makes them tricky if you don't know where even to begin, right?
Exactly.
But I can tell you what I did in my tutorial and stuff too, as well, is you take one of those kind of gritty sounds and you layer in a combinator with a PEF 808 kit, and pretty.
Yeah, stuff's happening.
Yeah.
That's what goes down.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's my small selection.
That is the small, not so small selection. I mean, that's an hour of patches that we.
Yeah, it's an hour of patches, but it's a small fraction of what's in the sound.
Well, that is true.
Yeah, so again, it would take a long time to go through.
It would take a long time. I'm sure some people would like us to be on for the amount of time it would take.
Yeah, and just play every patch.
But that would be insanity.
Can't play every patch. Can't hug every cat.
I don't know if that's a Swedish saying, but I like it.
No, it's an internet thing.
But, well, listen. So now here's the thing. Matthias, we have a special guest that I'm going to be bringing on here. And that means that in order to bring on said special guest, I have to say goodbye to you.
It's sad, but it's true.
It's sad, but it's true.
There's only space for two.
There's only space in this slightly gigantic but cramped room at the same time. Cramped with technology for two people. So we're going to dismiss you. I'll just say, because you've been my co-pilot on these streams, I just want to thank you because I've really enjoyed doing this with you. And I did this during Music Making Month, and I was alone in a closet with a Ustream comment thread and at one point a tinfoil hat. It's a lot more fun. I've really enjoyed that. So thanks for being here, for showing us this stuff. And I am really excited about it. I know you're excited about Reason 9.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you guys on Facebook. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah,
leave the room.
Absolutely.
Bye.
All right. Well, now maybe this is not much of a secret in terms of the guest I'm going to bring on here, but we thought it wouldn't be a Propellerhead streaming event without you guys. I see someone's already got it, but I can't read kanji, so can't quote you by name. But we thought it would be worthwhile to bring on one of the founders of Propellerhead. Some might say one of the sort of the visionaries of, easy to say one of the visionaries, right? There's three of them and they all complement each other really amazingly. And then they built a team of really amazing people to share in that complementary vision. So anyway, am I talking you up too much? Guys, please welcome CEO of Propellerhead, Ernst Naturspers.
Hi there, everybody.
Oh, I'm going to switch your name. There you go. That's got the right name.
Okay. You can spell it?
I spelled it. I think. I hope.
Great. Perfect. I can't see.
That's right. Okay. Just take my word for it. I can say anything. Well, listen. So we want to just talk to you. We thought it'd be a good idea to just talk to you about, a little bit about Reason 9, right? Mm-hmm. Because you have, I think, what is a really amazing perspective, right? You obviously with Propellerhead predates Reason. So you've been around for every variant of Reason. Mm-hmm. And in fact, you were around when, Reason in its proto-embryonic state was actually being considered, I think, as a sort of concept of rebirth.
Yeah, in a way it was. I mean, when we did Rebirth, we wanted to do, we had all these technical restrictions. So some of those went into the design of Rebirth. That's why it wasn't real time. It was sequenced because we couldn't do real time because there was latency. And it had the monophonic devices because we couldn't do polyphonic devices. So in a way, we were thinking the next step already there. Ooh, what if it would be real like polyphonic synths and you could play them in real time and sequence and record. So we were thinking about Reason when we did Rebirth. Yeah. So that's.
So for you, I mean, I always think of, I've been a Reason user for a long time. It's kind of fun for me to see each version come out and stuff, but I can't even imagine sort of what kind of proud papa thing it is for you to see where we've come with technology that allows you and Marcus and Peter Ubel to continue to sort of fulfill. It's almost like, if I can make a comparison, Bjork has said that she's constantly trying to make the music she originally heard in her head. Her entire life's work is to capture what she's trying, and in a way I imagine that's probably true of you guys had this vision for Reason, and it's an onward evolving process of.
For me, the big proud papa moment isn't in what we do. It's what people do with the product we do. When you hear something back or when you hear comments back about, someone who just got started in music and saying that, by us making these tools for them, they got started in music and, whether they have a career or not, but, it's part of their life now. It's something they're enjoying. That's the thing that gets me out of bed in the morning.
Interesting. Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah. And you guys, over here in the Stockholm offices, you were constantly reminded of the result of that, of the work that you guys do, the music that results from it.
Yes. So we do that. We also, we've had that for a long time with people sending in comments about the music they do. And now we have the Allihopa thing as well going, so we can actually hear what people are doing.
And doing together. Which is even more amazing. So that's like the next step. Right.
That's the kicker for me. It's the music that comes back.
So with that in mind, we look now at the impending release, the imminent release of Reason 9. And I have to say, having been around now both for a while as a user and as a member of the team, I'm very excited by this release. And I imagine you feel likewise.
No, absolutely. I think one of the things that would change this, or it's been changing over time, is, when we started, we had no users, right? So there was no one to ask really what they wanted. And there was lots of these limitations around technology. So we had to build around them. So it's a different situation today. Now we have something that we can build on. We have lots of communication with end users, and we can in a much better way fine tune what we're doing for what people need. And I know that there are a million things that people would like to have in the program that we can't do, but that's the only reason we're not doing it. It's because of resources, right? So we're just trying to fine tune and just come up with the stuff that has the biggest impact on people's musical lives. That's when we make the selection we can make that way.
I have to wonder, I have to wonder if people are going to take that comment and run with it. The only reason that we don't do things is because of resources. That sort of opens up the book to everything is on the table. And maybe that's true to say that, we're driven by our core principles of helping people make music, not by...
That's true. So there are other restrictions as well. But, in terms of features, I keep telling a story. It's an old story now, but we said, okay, let's take every feature request we ever had and put them all on an Excel sheet and tape it up on the window. And then we gave, just like a fun exercise, we gave everybody in the company like 100,000 cyber dollars, whatever, fake, and they could go and vote for their feature. And what happened, the fun thing was I don't know how many 100 features we had up on there. the thing that happened again and again, people came and said, I'm going to put all my money on this, because it's the most important one. And they walked up to the chart and they looked at it again and said, my feature isn't even there, right?
Uh-huh.
So they scribbled it on the side. So at the end of it, we had all these scribbles on the side. It was like, okay, another 100 features are up there, right? So it's managing that process is a huge challenge.
I could imagine.
Yeah.
So with that said, and looking at Reason 9, obviously I think one of the game changing, if I can use hyperbole here, features of Reason 9 is a whole new class of instrument, right? How did the players, yeah. How did that come about that that we're going to innovate a third sort of pillar of the Reason toolbox?
Well, I certainly didn't have anything to do with that, actually. So that's the excellent product marketing team that we had. All the people involved there were coming up with ideas, thinking about where we wanted to, where we could support people best in their music making, talking to people, trying out different ideas and working that through. And that's where we're landing there with the players that way.
Right. I just want to, there was a comment that came in, I think it's worth mentioning. Miguel Pena says, in regards to your story about the cyber dollars or whatever, he says, but that's employees voting, not users, and that's an issue.
No, but that was just a fun exercise.
Exactly.
So that's not a process we use for deciding what goes in the program. Absolutely not. No, it's just the point of the story was just that, even us could come up with, another 100 features easily.
Right. Now, you yourself are a musician. I mean, this is sort of the Hair Club for Men slogan. I'm not just the president, I'm a client.
Failed musician is what I say.
Oh, no. Well, I had the experience. I can just tell people, one night I'm here at the office and I was doing some stuff and I popped over to we have a studio in the Propellerhead offices, recording studio control room. And I popped in there and Ernst was in there, with his friend and a guitar and they're recording and stuff. And it was a nice moment because I work remotely with Propellerhead. So it's a nice reminder that top on down, it is a company, musicians and people that have their own musical desires that, factors into things as well. So for you, looking at the Reason 9 release, the new sounds, pitch edit, the players, what are the features that are going to impact your music?
Oh, all of them. It's funny, and I really, it's not like I really haven't had a big say in what goes into the program, but all these are perfect for me because I'm a really shitty player. So, and
I should mention right now, because this is a couple of mentions here. Swedes are famous for their modesty, so I've heard you play. You're not that bad,
okay. So the players can help, but for me, they're so the way it works for me when I like to write stuff, and I rarely finish anything, but I like to write songs and I like to write melodies, and melodies comes out of there's got to be some kind of foundation, right? So a chord progression or something that happens and then a melody comes up in my head. So players are going to be perfect for me for that. So in my as a songwriting tool. And then I do like to sing, yes. But I'm not very good at that either.
I've now set you up where you can't say anything humble.
It's got to be perfect. And then, who doesn't get inspired by sounds?
Right.
I mean, that's why we got into this thing in the first place. So all that stuff and the other workflow updates that we've added are just, they're perfect for me.
Right. Isn't it incredible? I tend to, this happens to me. My dad's told me I'm a very nostalgic kind of person, very sentimental kind of person. And so I tend to, whenever I come up and release, I always start thinking back to, oh man, look where we've come from. And in terms of those sounds, it really is kind of crazy to think about, the little 303, which is quite a good little 303 in Rebirth. And now some of these sounds, when we look at a Spio sound in the new Reason 9 sounds, and there's just a gazillion devices and it's got this massive reverb. And
it's amazing.
It is, isn't it?
It's really amazing.
Well, I think that it's probably safe to say that this version is driven by the same things that will shape the future of Reason, right? The core principles, the thing that gets you out of bed, as you say, in the morning. Is there any sort of feelings you have towards the future? If we can, I mean, not listing features, but talking about where you see Reason 10, 11, 12, I mean, wherever we go with this.
Well, the soul of the program is there, and the soul of the company is there. I mean, we're only here to help people make as much music as they can and have as much fun as they can doing it, and help them sound amazing. And so that's going to be the foundation for any decision we make of anything we put into the program. And I think, I mean, you just look back at what we've added in different upgrades over time, and that story just continues.
I have to say, I think one of the nice things about these streams is it's been a nice way for us to connect with music makers out there, right?
I've been reading the comments.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's been nice to connect with you, and you sort of you reconnect to what it is that we do on a daily basis, but the result of it, on a massive scale. Normally we hear from people. Sometimes they'll send us a CD they made. Sometimes they'll send us SoundCloud stuff, and they're just sharing what they do.
But they do send a lot of emails.
And then
the support guys.
Right. No, they definitely do.
Lots of positive feedback coming in through that channel as well, and that's really appreciated and helpful, and suggestions and stuff. We read it all. We try to digest and have it all influence what we're doing. We really do.
Right. Well, I think we're gonna tell people to have a good night.
Okay.
This has happened in about 2 minutes. I think the lights start dimming on us. So that's apparently the office managers here have set up a way to kind of force us out the door, make us not stay too late. But listen, everybody, I've had a really great time with you guys. I know we all have. Everybody in the company has been enjoying watching these streams, watching your comments. We are here to really just interact and respond with you guys, and it's been a ball. So thank you. And like I said at the beginning of this, it is not the last of our streaming. And I guess you could say we were on a 5-year hiatus between Music Making Month and now. In a lot of ways, we were waiting on technology to catch up. And I'd like to say thanks to the flawless stream tonight, technology has caught up. And we're going to be doing more of these. And we're going to be doing it, thinking of it in different ways. So we've really enjoyed this. And we're going to be seeing a lot more of you guys. Reason 9 is still in public beta. You can sign up for the public beta. People are still being... the guys that run the beta testing are letting people in sort of in lots and stuff, and I don't fully know how that works, but they do. So sign up for the public beta on our website, and you'll be able to get in and check out Reason 9 for yourself and really try it out. June 21st, it drops. You can get it on June 21st. You can get Reason 8. If you haven't upgraded, you can get Reason 8 today, and the Reason 9 upgrade is free. So there's really no reason to not sort of jump into, if you're new to the browser, if you want to get into the RB7000 convolution reverb already. There's a lot of things, and if you're a Reason 6.5 user, you can get into the slice markers that are in Reason 7 and above. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you could get into today with Reason 8, and when Reason 9 comes out on June 21st, it's a download upgrade free to you. So absolutely check that out. And I think that's about it. I want to say thank you to you. I don't think anyone thanked you. You and Matthias and the people behind the scenes. So we've got, Tage and Stefan out here in the control room. Absolutely, yeah.
Makeshift control room.
It's right. Not too bad.
But, all the people that have been involved in making this happen. I mean, I could sit here all night thanking people, but if we limit it to that, that's the core of people who've been helping these streams happen. I'm really grateful. And I think a lot of people out there are too. It's been fun.
I agree. And I think on that note, I think it's time to say goodnight, guys, and we will see you again soon. And I can't wait to hear what you guys do, what you make. Yeah?
Yes.
All right. Good night, guys.
Bye.